I'm reacting to another legendary video by the YouTuber 1STMAN. Let's go.
Hello guys and welcome back. In this episode we're going to be looking specifically at this one picture. And this one picture, yes, okay, I'll admit from the start, I was scrolling through Instagram and she caught my eye. I'm an ass man and I like black women, okay? But what caught my attention more was in the background. You see that guy sat there and you think to yourself, just look at him, okay? You've got this scenario where if it was just a shot of him, his wife or girlfriend, somebody who's had his children and looks to be, hopefully I'm not being offensive here, but I believe she's pregnant again, okay? So she's gonna mother two of his children and he's got his kid there with him. He could not give two shits, okay? He could not give a fuck about his wife, let's say his wife, his pregnant wife, and his kid at that moment in time. Why? Because he's looking at this woman's ass, he's looking at her in general, her body. The look that he's giving, guys, is something that I never want myself or any of you guys a situation to ever be in, which is just feeling lost. He clearly would rather be with that woman. I would say, given maybe he's just looking, right? But I think if we got inside that guy's head, if we sat him down, he would probably leave his woman, his wife, whatever, in a heartbeat to be with this other woman.
The thing is, that guy could cope and give excuses, but we as men, we all know whether or not we want to admit it, exactly what he's feeling. For some reason, we can all relate to that guy where he's in a relationship right now and he's just seen a woman who's better in a certain sense. She seems to captivate more of his interest than his actual wife does. And it would be so easy for us to cope and just say, oh no, he's just looking for the picture. He's looking because he's sexually interested in her probably more than he is with his wife. Because maybe this is heartless, but just from looking at the picture, the woman, the model in the blue who's being photographed, does seem to be a lot more attractive than the woman that he's with. And he can't help but look over and fantasize about her.
Click his fingers and be like, yep, done. You know, the son or the son or daughter who's on the way, that's a different scenario. But I guarantee if you said you can just visit, you can visit your kids, you can have them on weekends, and you can be with this other woman, he would again click his fingers and probably jump ship. It's very sad to see. This guy might be happy. Who knows? We might ask him and he might say, no, look, I was just looking, I was curious. You look at that kind of poise on his face. It's kind of a feeling of, or a look of bewilderment. He's thinking, how on earth, and you might not find her attractive, but he's thinking clearly there, how on earth does this woman look like this? I wish I could have a woman like that in my life, but I don't. And he might be thinking I couldn't get a woman like that, which is what a lot of guys get to.
I was there. I remember about 1 or 2 years ago when I was in the middle of my monk mode phase. I moved back home to my parents' house. I was broke as fuck. I was literally on benefits. So in the UK, we have this thing called universal credit, which is kind of like government welfare. I was broke as fuck, living with my parents, trimming my own hair. I had lost my physique. I wasn't very attractive and stuff. I remember there was points when either I would look through Instagram or I would see attractive women, and it would be that sense of bewilderment, thinking wait, how do there's actually hot girls like this? Why can't I get them? You can probably relate to that, and it's such a depressing feeling to have as a man, to think why am I not good enough for that? Why are those type of women never interested in me?
To ever get to that situation where you believe that women like that are untouchable and you're kind of stuck with what you've got, or what makes me more sad is settling in life early on. He's clearly not improved himself along the way, right? No offense to this guy. He's a good guy. I don't want to put him on blast. He's kind of dad-bodied. He's just wearing the dad shorts, the dad t-shirts. Nothing wrong with that. He's just kind of met a woman, I'd assume. Like I said, I am assuming here. He's just met a woman. He's thinking, I've been probably rejected or turned down by a lot of women in the past. This woman wants me. Let's have some kids. Let's go down the traditional route so that I don't feel alone and I don't feel lost in this world. But then when he comes across a woman like that, he can't take his eyes off her, which is actually sad for the woman that he's with and his kids, because you don't even want to be there. You just kind of fell down that trap.
This is the huge issue, and this is why so many older men are telling you never get complacent. Set higher standards for everything in life, especially for the relationships that you get into. It's so important you take this seriously. Set higher standards for yourself. You do not want to be in a position where you feel you got complacent, but you have ties to someone who you don't really want to be with. All you're doing is wasting time and potential. And I can really relate to this because I got into a relationship, a long-term relationship with a girl that I lived with, who I didn't even that much. I had bonded with her and we had connected that well, but I never saw her that highly. I didn't really respect her that much. I was physically and sexually attracted to her, but not to a crazy high level, and I wasn't attracted to her personality or her habits. I settled, but when you stay with someone for so long and you especially go to that next level of a relationship where you live together, things are different. You might have never experienced this just yet, but please believe me when I say you do not want to be in a serious relationship with a woman that you think you're settling for.
There was nothing else on offer, and you kind of just went with somebody who wants you, but you secretly don't really want them. It's just better than jerking off on a Saturday night, right? And I find that sad. I find that sad for two reasons. It's harsh on the family, and especially the woman who, someone else might really love her. You think there's the other side of the coin where that guy wanted more in life. He's clearly got some level of female aspirations or female ambition. He clearly wanted a woman that was better looking. Now, the woman that he's with might be a better woman, okay? But he clearly wanted something else, but he never went for it. And this is what happens when you kind of go down that traditional route and you get frightened about being alone. You get frightened about being single. You can't handle 3 or 4 years of no sex, no women, no attention, girls rejecting you. You can't handle that. The guys who do, the guys who go, I'm just going to take it on the chin for the time being, because I know once I've built myself to a certain point, I'm going to have women like this coming after me, or at least I'll put myself in a position and give myself the opportunity to say yes or no to them, or at least go up to them and have a chance, right? But what I'm seeing in this picture, and like I said, I don't want to put this guy on blast because it could have been anybody. This happens a million times a fucking day, right? So many guys are doing this. But in this scenario, you just think this guy just looks lost. You know, you can see the look on his face. He is really just contemplating his life and thinking this woman's better than what I've got. God damn, I'd love to sleep with her for one night. You know, I'd love to. Why doesn't my wife look like that, etc. And it's a harsh thing to say, but we all know as men that that's the way we think. You know, we might see someone who's way hotter than the woman we've got, and we'll be like, I need to get the fuck out, or something like, oh, but then again, can I get a woman like that?
I like what he said there, that we as men can all relate to this feeling. And it's a very dark feeling. Now, if you were in that situation and you had a good woman who you had a child with, a good relationship with, and there was just a woman who just piqued your sexual curiosity, if you were a good man, you would feel that feeling of like lust and just move on from it like it wasn't a big deal. But the truth is that that would actually be quite difficult to do. Chances are, like, you're not the total Adonis just yet. I'm not either. We would get like a sense of like sadness and depression and just be thinking like, fuck, I wish I could fuck her, but you know, like, oh, I've already got a relationship and I really do like my woman.
I think that's bad. I just think if you're in that scenario where you want better women, but you believe you can't get them, then that's the time to just get out of the game for like 2-3 years, 4-5 years, go and improve. But you don't want to get too old. You know, you get to late 40s, early 50s, and you're thinking, maybe I missed the boat here. Maybe I played my cards too early. I've got a mortgage, 2 kids, I've got a wife, we got married, you know, I've got a steady job, I've got to keep this whole boat afloat. And then this like 21-year-old comes along looking unbelievable. And like I said, it might not be your type, guys, but we've all seen a situation like this, right? It was just one that I found. But you see like a 21-year-old looking unbelievable, and yeah, she might not be a quality woman, she might get on your nerves, but having the opportunity to actually choose is what I think a lot of guys miss out on, from just believing that they can't do it, that they can't get a woman like that, or they're not willing to wait. They're willing to settle down now with, like I said, she could be a wonderful woman, I'm not denying that, but they're willing to settle down now with somebody that wants them, that might be like a 4 out of 10, compared to waiting 8 years and going on like a 5-year dry spell, and then being able to land women like that because they've built themselves up, they've got in the gym for 3-4 years straight, they've become super successful, etc.
One thing that we have to clarify, that this message of not settling, not being complacent, that should be for the early years of your life before you've really developed yourself up as a man. Now, if you're already in like the middle of like a good relationship, as that father who was in that picture with that model, it's like, it's too late. You've made your choice, you have to stick to it. The advice that 1STMAN is giving here is to not get into that situation in the first place. Hold off on a relationship up until you meet a woman who like really impresses you in all different ways, and then commit, and then get into the relationship. So many young men just settle and get complacent with like the first woman that shows them attention, because you know how the dating life is for most young men. It's like you're quite deprived from intimacy and love and sex. So then eventually, after years of not really getting much attraction from girls, when you do finally have a woman who's interested in you, it's so easy to just like jump straight onto it without actually thinking, wait, is this actually the woman that I want to have like a serious long-term relationship with? Do not commit to a relationship in which you think you are settling in any way. People may disagree with this advice and say, no, it's like, you know, that's silly, it's too much self-improvement. But just ask yourself with common sense, like, do you really want to be in a relationship with someone that you think isn't really that great? How long could that relationship last? You should have so much respect for yourself and also your future woman to think that you're gonna wait up until you meet someone who really impressed, like someone who you're so excited for. You're literally thinking, wait, this is like an amazing person, holy crap, I can't believe I've attracted her. You don't want to settle in a relationship just because you're lonely and you're thinking, oh well, you know, this person likes me.
For example, I've just gone through a breakup, right? The easy one, because we were both quite fair. You know, we wanted different things. She wanted marriage, she wanted kids. Well, not necessarily marriage, but she would have preferred it. But she wanted kids in the next couple of years. And I said, look, I don't want kids for like another 12 to 15 years. So we're both on different timelines. Maturely, we just said, let's go separate ways, but stay in touch as friends. Along the way, you obviously get moments where you're like, will we be better off together? And I stopped myself the other day and I was like, just why are you not working like crazy on yourself to just get to such a high level where you don't really have to think about that, because you have so many options that you can just breeze that off your shoulders, you know? And there's nothing against the ex-girlfriend, love her to bits. But at moments like this, you get to a crossroads where you're like, either you settle and you downgrade and you go, I just need comfort, I just need somebody to hold at night. Or you go, fuck it, how far can I take this? Now that I'm single, I've got time, I've got money, I can put everything into this. You know, you just push it forwards. And that's why I've started the fitness journey. That's why I'm doubling down on hours on 1STMAN. That's why I'm putting a ton of money into the shirts and probably into the streaming platform in the next 6 months, which I would have done anyway, but I've like doubled down on everything. Like I said, the fitness journey, I've started taking it seriously now. I've started contacting places about potential hair transplants, because I'm like, why not? Why not just put all these things in place and become the perfect man? You know, and I've entertained these ideas and I've gone like double hard in the paint on this thing, because I don't want to end up like that guy. I don't want to end up like that guy that gets to 40 years old, you're with some, and I'm not saying this about my ex-girlfriend at all. You know, the next girl that you could get could be worse, but because you needed somebody, you're like, oh, I just need affection, I need somebody to hold, I feel lonely. You could have got with somebody you didn't really want to be with, and then in like 10 years time, you're walking along with 2 kids and this woman you didn't really want to be with, that you don't actually find attractive. It's just the only vagina that is willing to let you in. And you see a woman like that and you go, shit, that's what I really wanted. I just didn't work my nuts off. You know, life isn't fair. A lot of women are born, they get to 18 years old, they're hot shit, right? They just have amazing genetics. They won the genetic lottery. They're beautiful on top of that. Mum and dad just did a great job, okay? They grew up in Cuba and the food was fantastic. They exercise naturally. They just look amazing. But for a man, yeah, you could have good genetics, but a lot of it comes down to success. A lot, like, no man is born completely jacked. You know, some guys might have naturally good genes and naturally good muscles and be bigger than average, but no guy's built like The Rock. You know, it takes some time to get there. Most of us are born, you know, we're scrawny little kids by our teen years. We're just scrawny little teenagers. You see a group of teenagers, they all look the same. You know, they're all built exactly the same. It's not until adult life when people start to separate themselves. And it's the same financially. You could be born with a bit of money, you could be born with rich parents, but the majority of us aren't. The majority of us have got to drive ourselves forward. And all the other traits that come with that, like learning languages, reading books, just becoming more articulate, just having more confidence, or better clothes, or taking better care of yourself, or, you know, just having something going on in your life where you've got momentum, like I always say to you guys, or nice assets or something, just give yourself some credibility. That all comes from hard work. And women are just kind of born hot, you know, along the way. But in order to get the women that you want, the top level women, like I was listening to a Mike Thurston video the other day, and he said that he was sat, I think, in Newcastle, and he was dreaming about being in like Dubai or London, driving along in a nice car. I think it was Marbella. He visited there on holiday. He was working as a bar member there, and he said he believed he was better than that. And he was like, he saw the guys driving around in expensive cars with like a 10 next to them, and he was like, shit, that's what I want. I want to be in a Lamborghini with a 10 next to me. And I'm not saying that's what life is about, but we're all happier when we have a beautiful woman on our arm. You know, it helps if she's nice, if she's got a good personality. But usually the better looking the woman, apparently, the happier the man is in the marriage or the relationship. That's studies that I've seen. And you think, why deprive yourself of that?
You know, one of the things that I've kept in mind for so long, up until just a few months ago, was devaluing the attractiveness in the woman that I was interested in. Saying that, you know, it's not that important. I don't really care so much. Like, personality is more important. And I still somewhat agree, yes, personality is probably more important in like a long-term relationship. You have to like really like the person, get along with them. But make sure you don't cope like I did. Make sure that you actually hold like good standards for the attractiveness for the woman that you want to date, because that's so important. In this modern day, it's like, it's so humble to say like, oh, you know, it's not important for me. But the truth is, yes, it is. It's so socially desirable to say like, oh no, but I don't really care. But 100%, yes, you do. We need to have the confidence to say, yep, I want to be very, very attracted to the woman that I'm with. I want her to be beautiful. You need to have the confidence to really say that to yourself. And if you feel weird saying that, that might say more about you, because that might show that you don't actually think that you're on that level where you could attract like a beautiful woman. That's something you have to face. That's something you have to bring into mind and say, okay, why am I not on that level? What work can I do that would put me on that level?
And I talk to 1STMAN community members quite often, and he said that guys in his factory are like, I can never get any woman I wanted to. You know, women that are like 8s, 9s and 10s, they were like, we can never get to that level. They would never want us. And I think that's sad. I think that's sad. That really depresses me, because as somebody who loves just kind of the male gender and just loves the male industry, I just wish that more men would push themselves forward and just grit their teeth and just say, fuck it. Like, we peak later in life. Just put that work in early on. And guys, you might have to go from 22 years old to 32 years old not getting a single woman. You know, it might be that scenario. That might be a drastic scenario. Like I'm saying, you probably won't have to. But worst case scenario, you might have to go like 10 years without getting a single woman in order to get to the top level, to put that time in, to put the reinvestment of money in, to just be completely dedicated to your shit. And you get to 32 and you pull like a kind of Ryan Reynolds type shit, and you start dating some of the hottest models on the planet, and then you end up marrying like a Blake Lively, right? That could be the scenario that you have to go through to get those women that are at the top. And I just think, are you willing to sacrifice a couple 4s, 5s and 6s now in order to have the 10s later on down the line? Because I certainly am. I think that's the best strategy to go down, to have your complete pick of any woman you want in 5 years time, compared to sleeping with 5s, 6s and 7s now whenever you want. I think it's a much better trade-off. It just scares me looking at that picture, guys. That scares the hell out of me. And I know personally it will never happen to me, because I'm fucking ruthless with this shit and I won't ever slow down. The one thing that does scare me though is there's just so many guys out there that will go down that path, and they'll look back and be like, fuck. You know, they might see somebody like me in the future, and I've got the women that I want on my arm, and they're like, this guy's a dick. You know, and they hate you for it. Or they see a beautiful woman walking down the street, and they're with their wife and kids, but they're staring at this woman, and they're like, oh God, imagine what it would be like to be with her. That's not fair for anybody. That's not fair for yourself, because you treat yourself with disrespect, but it's not fair for your family either, especially your kids, you know, and your wife. But whatever your goals in life are, guys, whatever you believe you deserve. So if you believe, like, life isn't all about looks and beauty and expensive cars and shit. It really isn't, guys. But if you want that shit, there's no getting away from it. Like, we look at the picture of that guy again, and you just think, he might have said that in the early days, but this woman's got a great personality. Beautiful women have got shit personalities. Not true, but he might have thought that, okay?
That's a cope that I've heard a lot, and I've even said it too, and you probably have said it. Where you think it's a trade-off, you've got to choose between a partner who has a good personality or a partner who's physically attractive. You've got to understand you can have both. Why not set the goal to meet someone who's really beautiful, but then also has a great personality? A lot of low-tier men cope and say like, oh no, like beautiful women are like, they're all assholes, they're all crazy. Shut the fuck up. They're all crazy, so I wouldn't want one of them. I'll settle with fucking Margaret over there. Don't settle for Margaret, bro.
He's the one who's still like, damn, I wish I could feel what it would be like to be with that woman, or, you know, if I could have sex with that woman just once, I'd be a happy man. And just please don't ever get yourself in that scenario, because as much as we kid ourselves sometimes and we try and say that life isn't materialistic, a lot of the times we get a little bit older and we still want the shit we wanted when we were younger, and we get a little bit annoyed about it. You just don't want to miss out on opportunities, you know? And here's a scenario, guys. Get super rich, become successful, get in great shape, become an outlier male, perfect man. Sleep with every 8, 9 and 10 you can get your hands on, okay? Enjoy your life, have fun, date them, do whatever you want to do. And then at a later date, if you're like, do you know what, they are bitches, they're getting on my nerves, you know, maybe ring up your childhood sweetheart or bump into a 6 with a great personality and a great education who would make a great mother and then marry her? I'm sure she'll say yes. You know, you always have that option. But then you can grow old knowing that you've slept with some of the most beautiful women in the world and you know what it was like.
So maybe your values differ from this and you've been watching this video thinking, oh, it's not for me because I don't want to sleep around, and that's perfectly fine. Let's say maybe you're religious and you just want like a long-term relationship, you want to have a wife, you don't want to sleep around. Even then, really ask yourself, you don't want to settle, do you? The most important decision that you make as a man is choosing what woman to marry / have children with. Make sure that that's a decision made with patience and introspectiveness. Make sure you set incredibly high standards for that. And when you've set standards that high, you also need to become a high value man.
But you don't want to end up like that guy in that photo. And I don't want to put him on blast again, like I said, guys, but there's millions of guys like that on a daily basis. Like, it's not just him. But you don't want to be that guy looking back, I don't know, 45 years old now, and I will never sleep with a woman like that in my life. That's a horrible feeling. You know, it's scarcity. It's kind of thinking I'm not good enough. There's not many things that make me sad in this world, but there's two things. It's kind of like a guy who's 60 years old, who's in an office getting treated like a T-boy, you know, when he's at an age where he should be CEO, manager, or retiring on a yacht. That makes me sad. When he's rushing to work in a shit car that keeps breaking down, I'm like, how many years did you fuck up for, buddy? When did you not switch your brain on? And the other one is guys staring at women that are beautiful women that are like 8s, 9s, and 10s, and just being like, well, you know, I've got my wife, I've got my missus, it is what it is, but just staring at these other women or masturbating to them every night. And thinking what could have been, or these women would never want me.
That's one of the things that many people won't talk about, the guys who are in this position but who speak in a very like positive, humbling way where they're like, oh, but you know, attractiveness isn't everything. The truth is, those guys who will disagree with this video and they'll leave comments below my video here, those guys are masturbating to like the attractive women that they really want whilst they're in relationships with, like, you know, the woman who's really helped them. This video, I think, is one of 1STMAN's like best, most important video, and I've watched it maybe 4 or 5 times, and it so truly links up with this concept that I've talked about, which is the self-improvement relationship trap. As a young man on self-improvement, you're becoming more fit, more attractive, more successful. You're gonna find that as your success in so many different areas goes up and up and up, your ability to attract better women goes up and up and up. And this is no disrespect to, like, you know, the women that you originally meet and, you know, I'm saying, oh, there's better women and everything. But you have to know that the more successful, the better that you become, of course, you're gonna attract higher quality women alongside that. And so it's all about asking yourself, when do you wanna cash out? When do you wanna have that serious relationship? Because this is something which is quite heartless, but it's something that I've seen in my own self-improvement journey, and I've seen it with pretty much every other guy. The longer you're on self-improvement, the higher quality woman you attract. And so let's say you're 3 months or 6 months into self-improvement, you meet a woman right now who's so great and you've got your girlfriend and you're having sex, that's so amazing. You will know in your mind that 6 months from now, you would be attracting like another tier of woman above that. It sounds so like heartless and so dark to be talking about this concept, but it is the truth. I have no disrespect to women I've dated previously, but I truly feel this. It's like every 6 months I notice, like, wait, these women who are messaging me first on Instagram are so fucking attractive, but like they're also bringing like a very nice, beautiful personality with them. They're all on self-improvement. But a year ago or 2 years ago, I was attracting like quite emotionally immature women who were still in, like, you know, the party drug scene. Why? Because I was on that level. As you level up as a man, the level of women that you can attract also goes up. It's so important to really ask yourself then, when do you want to get into a relationship? Because if you choose to get into one too early, you might be just like the man who was pictured at the start of this video. This YouTuber's channel is linked in the description, and you can just click on his name on the title of this video to go onto his channel. He's got very, very good videos that I think you'll like. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.